What's good, Detroit Sports Nation? I am Eric Vincent, your host here at the DSN News Desk. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your time and support. Unfortunately, though, coming off another loss for the Detroit Pistons tonight, a 110-116 final score against the New Orleans Pelicans. A home game that the Pistons had, honestly, every chance to close out and win. This was a game that was well within their grasp. The Pelicans went on a few runs where they were able to stack up some double-digit leads, but this is a game that the Pistons had every opportunity to win. And to me, I feel like the cause of this game has been something that I've put off for a while in terms of addressing. This is a topic that you guys have discussed in the comments relentlessly. This is something I see on social media all the time after a win or a loss in the Piston community. I constantly see this conversation, and I think it's finally time to address it accordingly. Dwayne Casey, I think, cost the Pistons this game, and I think he's really running out of leeway at this point with the decisions he's been making. I've been able to be a little bit more lenient with him because considering, again, we talk about the inexperience of this team all the time and how young they are, the injuries that they've dealt with, and that's enough of an issue to deal with. The lack of talent that they have, that's enough to deal with already for a coach like Dwayne Casey. But at this point, with some of the decisions that he's making and some of the trends that we're seeing with the Pistons, it comes off as a direct reflection of what he's not getting done. And I feel like he's running out of space. Like a lot of the, I don't want to say excuses, but I want to say a lot of the leeway that I was giving him, he's running out at this point, man. And I don't think the injuries, and I don't think, all the issues that they've had to deal with, I don't think at this point it comes to a reasonable excuse to keep letting him get off with the mistakes that he's been making. We saw the Pistons play a pretty good game today. I don't think they were bad even despite the loss. They put a much forth better effort than what they gave the past few games, against the Sixers and the back-to-back. This is a much better performance by the Pistons, sorry. And even with this better performance that they put up, it's always frustrating when it's a coach that's holding players back, especially a young team that's trying to get better and trying to learn to win. And for Dwayne Casey, it's getting so frustrating. And we've seen this even going back to last season where some players are building momentum or a unit is building momentum and they're establishing a leader. You see a guy getting some confidence going, mainly up until the end of a quarter or an end of a stretch where maybe they might get subbed out for a little bit. Case in point is Killian Hayes today. Killian Hayes goes on an unbelievable roll, has an awesome game, 7-10 from the field for 17 points, 6 assists, did turn the ball over 4 times, but played some pretty good defense along the stretch as well. And he was one of the key pieces for the Pistons where a lot of their offensive stretches, they were just playing isolation basketball. And Killian was one of the few players that was able to play selfless and help keep the ball moving to get easier and more productive shots for the Detroit Pistons. Dwayne Casey took him out in the third quarter, and Killian didn't see the court again until late in the fourth quarter in place of Kevin Knox. I don't understand that at all. I really don't. And it's not a knock on Kevin Knox because he's had some up and down moments where he's played pretty well, where he showed that he can be a contributor as a key 3-and-D player in this rotation. But this wasn't the time to see these minutes extended for Kevin Knox into the fourth quarter. Killian Hayes played 30. He should have played at least 34, 35 minutes tonight. He was really finding a rhythm. He was really, for the last few weeks, you could make the argument while Jalen Duren has been hurt and while, Bojan's been hurt, you could argue that Killian has been the Pistons' best player for a good stretch now at this point. And considering the, momentum that he's been able to build, especially in fourth quarters where, again, I don't really have much doubt or question about what Killian can give you with the first through the third. But in key stretches where you need your best players on the court, especially in the fourth quarter, there's no reason that Killian Hayes should not be on the court at this point in time. He's been their best floor general. He makes responsibilities easier for Jaden Ivey when they're not playing just dominant ISO basketball. When they're moving the ball and playing in transition, You see Killian as the orchestrator of it. You saw him in a transition play where he was able to get a smooth behind-the-back drop-off to Jaden Ivey to get an easy layup at the rim. He's offering a lot of value to this team, and every time Dwayne Casey takes him off the court, it kills the momentum of this team. And we've seen a lot of games this season where that's been the case, where he leaves bench players on the floor too long, whether it's Corey Joseph, Kevin Knox. We've seen him leave Magruder or a struggling Hamidou Diallo on the court for too long in place of a Jaden Ivey, in place of a Killian Hayes, him leaving a Marvin Bagley on the floor for too long instead of Jalen Duren, where you're clearly struggling in the paint to get rebounds and be productive in the paint. He's costing them that, and it's costing them all this momentum unnecessarily. I think he did that in the Clipper game as well. They were building this momentum up, and they had, I believe, their bench in for an extended period of time. And while they were in, they were able to lose the lead because the starters were not in to help close it. Some of the starters were, but not all of them. And that was a big downfall that helped contribute to that loss, which is still one of the worst ones of the season. And you're seeing kind of more of it tonight. You saw more of it tonight with this game with the Pistons. And Dwayne Casey's got to get control of that. He's got to get control of his rotations. Like, I know it's not easy considering the injuries that they've dealt with, considering a lot of the influx that they've had to deal with in terms of their health and positioning. It's not easy for him. I understand that. But he has to be better as the wise brain of this team. He is a veteran coach, a coach of the year, coaching young minds, trying to help them establish their ways to win in the NBA. He has to help be the focal point of that, and he has to be giving his best foot forward every single night. And another reason that kind of has me doubting that maybe he may or may not be that guy is supposed to be his calling card. And we talked about this earlier in the season. What do we always talk about? Every time you turn on the Pistons or hear about the Pistons, what do everybody always talk about being the calling card for Dwayne Casey? His defense. The Pistons are the worst defensive team in the league by a mile. And it's not just based on talent. It's based on effort. It's based on a lack of communication, a lack of somewhat intelligence on the floor. No disrespect to the players. I'm just saying in terms of their ball IQ on the court. I'm not trying to insult them or be disrespectful. I'm saying in terms of their basketball on court IQ, letting guys get open with easy backdoor cuts, not communicating that your guy's cutting or that you rotated over to stop a shot, and since you can't get the rebound, it's supposed to be a guy sliding over to protect your backside, and they don't have that, which lets up an easy offensive rebound for your opposition. There have been a lot of issues like that have occurred with this team, and it can't just be based on their inexperience and their age. It can't just be that at this point. It's really coming down and looking like a structure issue that is really hurting this team at this moment. And it has to come down to the coach with these kind of mistakes. I've given a lot of leeway. I have not really addressed the constant pitchfork mob that is coming after Dwayne Casey's job, but he's really losing a lot of his leeway right now. Again, it would be a lot easier if you obviously had Cade Cunningham on the floor, who was on the bench tonight, did return and was in presence with the team. Loved seeing him out there just to be able to be a presence, to be able to talk to the guys on the floor. I love seeing that. Obviously, life would be totally different if Cade was on the court. But since he doesn't, you have to now think 2 steps ahead because these other guys around you are young players. They're learning. So now they got to learn without Cade, without their floor general, the leader that they should now be able to look to in how to win, what they need to be doing, is their head coach. Dwayne Casey's got to do better, man. He really has to do better. I don't want to go into a full breakdown of the game. I mean, again, it was a good game overall. You got some good performances. Bojan pitched in 22, 20 for Sadiq Bey. Again, 17 for Killian, 12 for Jaden Ivey, 19 for Hamidou Diallo off the bench, who's continuing to play that center role while the Pistons don't really have a center right now, with Jalen Duren hurt, Isaiah Stewart hurt, Marvin Bagley hurt, and then Nerlens Noel playing limited minutes. He only played 19 tonight, so they don't have a second center at this point as it stands. They've been playing a lot of minutes with Hamidou Diallo as their pick-and-roll center, where he's doing a lot of rolls to the basket to get an easy dunk at the rim. And he did get a lot of highlight plays. He got a nice windmill jam that George Blaha didn't call out for some reason. He loves calling out windmill jams. And he gave a lot of energy for this Pistons team. They're definitely missing the ability to have some size. New Orleans itself is a huge team, even without Zion that they didn't have. They didn't have Zion or Brandon Ingram, but still posed a threat with their size with those Valanciunas and with their ability to move the ball as crisp as they did. They're a very proficient team. They move the ball a lot, get a lot of quick passes to set up for easy inside and outside shots. New Orleans is like an absolutely well-established team, ready to compete in the Western Conference. Pistons are obviously not there yet, but they had every chance to steal this game. Kind of a bummer that they didn't get it done. But talk to me in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you thought about the game. Again, a 116-110 final score finish for the Pistons tonight against the Pelicans. What did you think about what you saw from the Pistons? I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Make sure you like the video as well. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel as we ramp up on our way to 6,000 subscribers on our YouTube page. Help us hit that milestone with your love and support. We would greatly appreciate it. Make sure you're tapping in on our social media as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above. Search and follow Detroit Sports Nation. And tap in with me as well at I am Eric Vincent. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate your time. I'll be back again soon with another update right here from the DSN News Desk. Peace.